And welcome back to 1813 Fair Warning. I'm Kevin Steele. It's time to debate politics. Smash Mouth politics right here, as always, on 1813 TV. Was this election stolen?
The Georgia business with the stolen votes, the ones they pulled out from underneath the table in the boxes. They put those votes in those boxes because they were fixing to leave for the night. Okay, They were to be counted. They just didn't get around to counting them. So here's Giuliani. He comes up and he puts
Let's
out.
don't talk about Giuliani. Let's
Well,
talk
he's
about what
the
we
one that
saw.
put the video out.
You're the one
Okay.
that the video was put out by the State Farm Center. That they didn't know they were being recorded. Those votes under the table when they were pulled out. How many poll watchers were in that room? You watched the video. How many poll watchers were in that room?
At that moment, I don't know because
None.
But I didn't see.
Is
But
the,
that
is
doesn't
the
mean that there
election
wasn't
valid if by law they have to have poll watchers, but they dismiss the poll watchers?
Okay, but the votes existed and were in those boxes.
You don't know that because there was no poll watcher there. That's the point, Godfrey. You cannot say we've got an honest and fair election if you dismiss everybody that's looking, overseeing the election.
Okay, now here let's dial back to before the stuff was put underneath there. They've been counting all day long. They're tired. They want to go home.
Okay.
Right? So, okay, guys, what are we going to do with the votes we haven't counted yet? We'll count them in the morning. Put them in these lock boxes. Store them underneath your desks. In the morning, we'll get them out.
And we won't count them until the poll watchers come back, because if we do, it's fraud and a fraudulent election.
Okay. I did not know that they didn't have the poll watchers. But
That's
you know
the
what?
point. You know why
the
you
poll
didn't?
watchers
Because
are
they
there to
didn't have a
soothe
hearing.
your nerves. They're not required to have them there to have a proper election.
Have you checked the election law on that?
I don't. No, I haven't. Honestly.
Okay. Well, then let's stick with, they're
Okay.
supposed to be
Okay.
there.
Well, then somebody should have called them.
They should have called them. And
But-
the fact that
but
the
there was
State
nothing-
Farm Center had those tapes and the Democrats didn't know that. But Godfrey, here's the point. They didn't steal this election from Republicans. They stole it from people who voted legally. Illegal votes were cast.
How do you know they're illegal votes?
Okay, they're illegal votes if they didn't go through a proper legal process, right?
They were processed.
No, again, if there's not poll watchers there while they're being processed, then they're not legal votes.
There were poll watchers there when they were originally processed.
Okay, you didn't see that. And keep in mind, process is when you do mail-in ballots. Have you ever worked them? Because I run that.
Okay, no, I haven't.
Okay, well, you verify the signatures.
Yeah,
you make
well,
sure that they're.
It's my
that they're
understanding
legal.
that they've
And
done that on
and-
all those votes.
Well, if you watched it again, there was almost no cancels.
Well, if you really believe that, this is something that people should be able to trust that their votes are counted.
That's the
and that the
worst
votes
part of
that were
this, 'cause
counted
they
are
don't.
legal and proper.
That's right. You're right.
And so, if this is really a thing, okay,
It is a huge thing.
well, then let's get the name of every. I know
agree
you're supposed to
100%.
have what do you call it, anonymity in your vote. I really don't give a damn if somebody knows who I voted for. I'll come right out of the damn
I agree.
polling place and I'll tell you who I voted for, what amendments I voted for. I don't care.
I agree.
I am proud of my vote. Okay,
I agree with you.
and I think that's a bunch of nonsense.
So the point is, you want to say, let's pull every name of all those ballots
That you consider
and find
illegal.
out who. And I think that's great, and
Let's
that would
do
be
it.
a wonderful process.
But let's do it
But here's
in
the other
front
part
of the
we
news
could-
people, both the
I-
Fox and the CNN.
And do you know that's all we've been asking for?
Well, let's do it.
Yeah,
because
I
I,
agree
think
with
it's
you,
a bunch
but-
of horse shit myself.
Yeah, it is.
No,
the fact
your
that they
belief
would cover.
that the
Godfrey, here's the
vote
part.
stolen
Here's the
is
part I
horse
don't
shit
have to
for.
believe. I watched it, and it was in front.
I did
It was in
too.
front of the Georgia legislature.
And I watched
when they
them-
dismissed the poll watchers and began counting votes. They committed fraud.
Kent, I watched the first half of the video, which
but-
showed them putting them underneath there after they've been standing around for an hour trying to decide whether they're going to go home or not because they're tired.
But you admit to me that they pulled out votes and counted them without poll watchers being there.
Maybe so, but they're the same damn votes that they put
Wait,
in those
wait,
boxes.
maybe so is the whole point.
They locked it.
If they committed fraud, it's fraudulent.
How did they commit fraud?
Okay, again, if they did,
I'm not talking about whether the poll watchers are there or not.
I know you're not talking about it, but that's the point.
They have legally registered votes. The
fact is,
counters
nobody
do not.
knows that.
The counters do not do the comparison. Somebody else does the comparison before they get to count them.
I can't speak to. I can't speak to that in Georgia.
I believe it's actually 2 steps in Georgia.
It may in fact be, but the fact is, if they counted them, if they ran them, if they did anything to them after they dismissed the poll watchers, they committed fraud.
Just like before some election recently, you told me, "Oh man, we got all these illegal votes. We're going to prosecute all these people." But you hadn't gone to the grand jury about it yet, okay? And then later on, I asked you, "What about those?" Oh well, the grand jury no billed them, but we're going to try and get them.
Okay, but are you saying nobody's being prosecuted now? Because
I'm telling
people
you
are being prosecuted
daily. I'm telling you that
There's a lot. Wait.
I'm
We
telling you.
gotta point this out. There's a lot of people being prosecuted now.
Yes,
You do admit that?
Yes. No.
And
What do you mean prosecuted?
lately, there's been a lot
For
of
what,
people
for voting?
voter fraud.
No.
What?
No. You
Okay,
need to
guys,
go
Google
to the
this.
southern.
Just Google
poverty-
how many people have been prosecuted for voter fraud this election, because it's happening daily.
because they get charged by some stupid grand jury. It never goes to trial.
There are people going to prison, and by the way, you can look it up. Several in Dallas, you can look up. They're being prosecuted and
Southern
doing
Poverty
jail
Law
time.
Center. Go to the Southern Poverty Law Center site. You will find out that voter fraud in this country is minuscule.